Content is surely the king on LinkedIn. The platform rewards the content that adds value to the users. Right now, there's no other platform like LinkedIn that provides such a huge value to organic content and rewards the users for creating quality content. But that's the $1 million question, right? How to create that quality content? Should the right content have correct keywords, or should it be loaded with information for it to sell? In our previous episodes, we have seen how people have been generating business through LinkedIn only using quality content. So there are so many questions that go around content marketing, and all these questions lead to just one thing: providing meaningful information and generating leads. LinkedIn is surely the platform that helps you create an impact. So to understand how to use content on LinkedIn and how you can utilize LinkedIn to its maximum potential, I've invited Novnish Ramesh to this episode of the LinkedIn podcast. Novnish is a marketing campaign and a content manager for Aegis Easy Trip Services and has been a member of HBR Advisory Council. Novnish is a marketing professional with over 10 years of experience. He has worked across 5 different industries, including pharma, gaming, payment solutions, insurance, and transport services. He's also an author. He has written a book called The Use of Sensory Marketing and Its Impact on Consumer Behavior, which brings an innovative perspective to strategic marketing. But above all, he's very passionate about content. He loves storytelling. He also writes many guest articles on various websites about content marketing. So welcome, Novnish. Welcome to this episode of the LinkedIn podcast. How are you doing?
Hey, Nimit, thank you. I'm doing good, and the weather is quite nice in France. And I really appreciate you having me on your show, and looking forward to adding some value.
Great. I'm also, looking forward to learn a lot, and I hope users also get to learn a lot about content on LinkedIn. So, to start off the discussion, I believe that everything in life has a purpose, and if we take that thing, when it comes to content, what do you think the purpose of content is?
Nimit, imagine you open a door to a room, right? You enter it, you find it totally empty, blank, white. Your brain is going to immediately tell you something is missing, right? So basically, content is missing, something that is to be expressed through some medium or form. Content can be a video, it could be an employee story, a forum, a blog, a flyer, brochure. There are thousands of forms of content, but the purpose of content is simple. It's to inspire, entertain, educate, support, inform, and convince your audience.
Okay, great. So that entirely defines what the content is for, and that should be the sole purpose of content. We should not use it for, anything else. Okay. So you also
Absolutely.
emphasize a lot on storytelling, the power of storytelling. So what is the reason? What is storytelling?
Well, basically, without stories, we cease to exist, I know someone because of hearing what they've done or what they're doing, I know a brand because of their past stories and current stories. So every company has stories to tell, just like every person has stories to tell, Some companies do it well while others don't. Why do certain brands stay in your mind and you instantly have this good feeling or vibe for them? It's because they have emotionally managed to engage with you, to surprise you, to delight you, and they have that strong impact on you simply because of the stories.
So if we take an example of, let's say, Coca-Cola brand. So Coca-Cola focuses on the happiness, happiness story,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So do you mean that is the story that they're trying to tell to the users?
Absolutely. It's the emotional fact, If
Yeah.
you simply say something about your product or service, it doesn't stick to your mind, But if you add emotion to it, a story, why you're doing it, what will it solve? This is when people remember you, And
Okay.
this is what sticks in their mind.
Okay. All right. That's a very interesting point, that stick to the story, try to incorporate story in your content. Okay. So the listeners have to remember this thing. Okay,
And
so
and you know what,
yeah.
Nimit? I'm gonna give you another example. I mean, it's related to the book that I wrote, Sensory Marketing. Imagine you go into a shop. You don't notice it, but surrounding you, you hear music, right? You see around you, it's visually impacting. You touch a lot of things. That's also physically attracting. You walk on maybe a really nice floor, marble floor. All of these, it subconsciously affect you, and these are all the feelings, the emotions. It's like a 360-degree experience that you have when you walk into a store and when you come out. It's exactly like that. It's storytelling, and it hits you right like that in the face.
Okay. All right. Understood. So people often say that you have to create quality content. The focus on the word quality is immense. So how do you define quality in this content marketing?
Well, quality content is customer centric and speaks in a human voice to provide your audience with the information that they're looking for and need. So, quality content is something that is always relevant to your audience. It's content that delivers value, that solves a problem, that consists of great writing and tells a story. So, whenever quality content is meeting the expectations of the audience, it's going to be a huge hit. So whenever you create content, make sure it's geared towards your audience, and it's going to be quality. It's a simple formula.
Okay, so whatever content you create for your particular audience, that will generate value, and that is called the quality content. So
Exactly.
I cannot copy the content of, let's say, any let's say travel industry in digital marketing, right? So that quality will be different than a different industry, right?
Of course, because the audience is different, right? The audience that you have in, let's say, a tourism sector may not be an audience that you require in an automobile sector. The audience that you have offline is not the same as the audience that you have online, right? So
Yeah.
their needs are different, their requirements are different. So of course, you have to tailor make your content according to the target audience.
Okay. So how do you go about creating quality content? Is there a process that anyone can follow? What is the process of this content quality creation?
Yeah, basically, there is a set. I mean, there's many processes, but there are a set of steps that you need to go through to create this quality content. And I have my own set of steps, and I actually learned it from one of my mentors called Anne Handley. And I'm gonna tell you, it works like a gem. So it's a set of 10 or 12 steps. I'm gonna run you through it, so you clearly know at the end how you're gonna create this quality content. So first of all, you have to start with your business goal. What are you trying to achieve? And then you have to research your target audience. Then you reframe it and put your reader or audience into it and relate it to them. And then, of course, you have to seek out data and examples that support your content, and you have to add these experiences and emotions. Then you think about what kind of format or structure would best communicate your point. And remember, you have to write as if you're writing to only one person. Imagine the one person you're helping with this piece of content. And of course, after you do this, you produce an ugly, rough draft. Okay, which is
Okay.
fine. So walk away from it, put some distance between your first ugly draft and your second draft. And then come back, recreate, rewrite, shape that mess into something your reader wants to consume. Put yourself into his shoes. And at the end, always give it a great hook. If it's a blog article, you need a great headline. If it's an ad, you need a great set of punchy words. And then finally, have someone edit. Take one final look for readability, publish it, repurpose it. You're set. That's done.
Okay, so you made it sound very simple, but I believe it will take a lot of practice and errors or mistakes that people will have to make to reach to that level. So that's really good, and I'm really grateful that you have narrowed it down to 10 steps. So that will help users a lot and
And you know
viewers.
what?
Yeah.
You mentioned mistake. It's perfectly all right to make mistakes, because the more you make mistakes, the more you learn. I mean, it's all about trial and error, right? You don't know that whatever you're creating now, it's gonna be great. It's gonna click. But once you start trying, once you start experimenting, you know what works.
Yeah, absolutely. So people don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes will eventually make you good, right? So,
Yeah.
Novnish, I recently read your article about content marketing versus content strategy. They are not
Yeah.
the same thing. That's what I took away from that article. But many of us don't really know that. So, can you shed some light on this?
Sure, sure. Happy you mentioned that because I've noticed that even expert marketeers out there do not really know the difference between content strategy and content marketing. I mean, the thing is, they are similar to each other, they complement each other, but they're not the same. Content marketing, it means creating, editing, publishing, distributing content. It works well because it does not automatically sell a product or service. Blog posts, for example, do not inspire anything but build trust with readers and draw your audience closer to you. It involves providing the value, that's it. But content strategy, it's the basis for successful content marketing. While content marketing plays a key role in product success, it's the online content strategy that guides you. Take it as a map. You want to get from this place to another destination, and you have to guide you through that place through content strategy, but you actually physically carry it out through content marketing. And I'll
Okay.
tell you some things for content strategy, how it works. Content strategy, it asks you the why you're publishing content. It finds who you reach through content marketing. It decides what kind of content you're going to publish. It's also going to decide who will create your content, and it's also the deciding factor when you set metrics to measure your content marketing success. So content marketing works, but without the right content strategy, you don't understand what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, that's really a valid point, I would say, because with content strategy, you get to know who your target audience is, what content do they like to read, and how do you create that, and how do you market that, which social media platforms you would use, what timings you will use to post that content. That will come in content marketing, right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
All
You,
right.
you you got it right there.
Okay. All right. So, Novnish, what is your LinkedIn strategy? How do you use LinkedIn?
A lot of people have asked me this. I mean, I don't. For me, LinkedIn, it's not about strategies or anything. I am mainly on LinkedIn to establish relationships with my connections. LinkedIn was made for networking. It's not about posting and likes and shares on everything. It's about finding the right people and interacting with them, collaborating with them. For this, of course, you need to establish yourself as an expert. It takes time. You need to slowly add value and then get your profile really accurately done, because people, when they see your post, what do? Okay, they engage, but then if they want to interact with you, they come onto your profile, and it's that should strike you. I mean,
Yeah.
to give you an example, from pushing out content for the past 3 months, I mean, I've been able to increase both my connection and follower count from, let's say, to 100 to around 7K now. You know what I do? I analyze that audience. I try different content. I see what works. I've
Okay.
shared different posts. I've appreciated people that have pushed out posts. And slowly I started seeing questions, people asking me through direct message. These are the questions that are really valuable for me because it shows the engagement. And because of that, I've actually managed to collaborate with a lot of people. I mean, you and I, what we're doing right now is because of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's because I've started being very active. You've started seeing my post. This is what the strategy should be. It's nothing else.
Yeah. So I also believe this thing that there are three C's on LinkedIn that work: connection, content, and consistency. So if you connect with
Absolutely.
people regularly and you push out quality content regularly, it is bound to give you results. So that's absolutely correct, and I completely agree with this. So how have you seen the change in the use of LinkedIn in the past few months since this COVID situation started, and brands have started this digital transformation kind of? So how have you seen the change?
Sure. I mean, I've been following this quite closely. I've seen that a lot more people are using LinkedIn, a lot more people consuming content. Some have a clear strategy, while others just put out random stuff, and there's an influx of younger generation using LinkedIn. I mean, while there are so-called experts at one side, there's also the real experts on the other side.
Yeah.
People have started telling stories, and businesses, as you mentioned, they have ramped up their marketing activities on LinkedIn, and not just businesses, also HRs. They've started using LinkedIn as their main recruitment area. So a lot of positive stuff has been going on, but also there's been a lot of negative things as well. You know, people randomly posting, thinking as if it's a different social media, for example, like Facebook. People taking pictures of themselves, saying, "Okay, look, I'm walking my dog right now." You know, honestly, every social media has its value, right? And LinkedIn has its own value. It's B2B networking, and
Yes.
I feel that more and more there is this kind of dilution of the value of LinkedIn that is going down. And I
Okay.
mean, maybe it's because of COVID, maybe not. I really hope it goes better.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned that the quality is going down and how LinkedIn is
Yeah.
different from other platforms. So, how is content marketing different on LinkedIn as compared to, let's say, Instagram or Facebook?
Sure, great question. Basically, LinkedIn is completely different from other social networks because it requires a different approach. While you have like-minded people to connect with you on LinkedIn, you don't have that kind of reach and immediate connection on other social media channels. I mean, just to give you an example, if you wanted to reach me and I wasn't on LinkedIn, and you had to do it through another social media or even traditional approach, it's going to take you some time, right?
Yeah.
So the value of LinkedIn is basically that literally with one click, you can connect to any business individual across the planet, and it's the power of this LinkedIn of networking, which is quite important here. And many people they don't look at LinkedIn as a gold mine, which is quite a depressive state. And while certain businesses, they have learned right now, okay, this is the power, and I need to use these influential people to spread my word about their products, about their service. It's a bit like affiliation,
Yeah.
you're using someone to spread something else. That's the power of LinkedIn, and this doesn't work in any other social network.
Yeah, I totally agree. And whatever your professional goal is, for example, whether it is to get a good job, to get new clients, to build your personal brand, or just connect with the people you admire, LinkedIn will give you that opportunity. So there's no platform other than LinkedIn just like that. So guys, use it wisely, use it judiciously, and you will see good things happen. And Novnish, what kind of content have you seen that works best on LinkedIn?
I've tried a lot of different content. I've tried text. I've tried images. I've tried videos. I've tried a combination of a lot of things. And what I've seen that clicks with LinkedIn is mainly visually attractive infographics, videos, and a really originally made image. It's not like taking an image from somewhere else and then just posting it, and adding some text. You
Yeah.
need to create your own content. That's the thing that really works on LinkedIn.
Okay. So, if I may ask you something related to this, I have seen articles about dwell time, something on LinkedIn algorithm that it has incorporated dwell time in its engagement, algorithm.
Yeah.
So, do you think videos are better in terms of engaging people, or is it the infographics or documents that people share on LinkedIn? Which one works
Uh,
better?
Basically, I would say videos, and also I would add podcasts. Why? Because people, they want to be doing a lot of different things, right? They don't want to just sit in front of a screen and see something. The powerful thing with videos and podcasts is that even though you're not actually seeing the person, I mean, you can if you want to. You're hearing it, so you can
Yeah.
probably be doing something else while hearing value. That's the most powerful thing with these videos and podcasts. And also, specifically for videos, it's that you have that personal connection with this person, which you don't get if someone just types it. I mean,
Yeah.
the only reason we're doing a video podcast here is that you have that connection. You can see my emotion, I can see your emotion. That's really what matters.
Yeah, and I see LinkedIn is also pushing video content a lot, and it is asking users to put out video content, because if you want to get access to that coveted LinkedIn Live, you have to have
Yes, right.
videos on LinkedIn. So yeah, yeah, please.
And I'll tell you why, because anything that is inbuilt into the native software is what works. I mean, if you try to link something on your post, it's not going to work, because the LinkedIn algorithm is works in such a way that you have to keep everything inside LinkedIn. So, which is why LinkedIn Live, they came up with the solution, so that they want to keep everything you create, even videos,
Yeah.
inside that LinkedIn.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah. So, Novnish, what are your top three tips to make your content stand out on LinkedIn?
It's pretty simple, actually. I mean, even though I've done a lot of experimentation, the three things is: add value, add your emotion and personal experience, and be creative. And in the end, this is what has worked for me. Of course, try things out. Don't be afraid. There are more than 660 million LinkedIn users. Remember, there's always an audience out there for you. Connect with like-minded people. Talk to at least two people per week, and eventually you'll find that soft spot. You'll find that sweet spot, and you'll be rocking.
Yeah, again, you have simplified this process so much that it looks so easy to do. Yeah. So, Novnish, coming to my next question, what has been your biggest LinkedIn success story till now?
I'm going to say this. It's not about growing my number of followers from 100 to 7K. It's not about growing my connections to 1,000 to 7K. It's the people that I've gotten to know, to interact. People like yourself. I've had the chance to talk to a lot of people. Working, staying across the world. Normally I wouldn't have had that chance
Yeah.
if it wasn't for LinkedIn. So for me, it is this opportunity that I've had, the chance to guest podcasts on many shows, such as the one that we're doing right now,
Yeah.
and to also share stories and to learn quite a lot. That's
Okay.
one of my biggest LinkedIn success stories.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good one actually. And have you had any setbacks or sort of failures that you would like to share?
Of course, I've had a lot of content where I've had no engagement.
Okay.
I've tried to go into many podcast shows, but I haven't had that click. I wanted to do a lot of webinars, but I didn't have that enthusiasm. I mean, I've asked many polls to LinkedIn audience, and I've seen that whatever I'm thinking did not resonate. I've had a lot of ups and downs, but in the end, these downs, these failures, they are just pushing me towards the right direction.
Yeah.
So these things, you don't have to put it into your head. Learn from it. It's an opportunity, and I'm saying that LinkedIn is a huge playground for you to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So people don't get disheartened from your mistakes. Learn from them, and better things will happen for you. And believe me, it has happened for me. So it has happened for Novnish as well. So finally, Novnish, my last question to you is: do you have any advice that you want to give to young professionals out there, and how they can leverage LinkedIn?
Sure. I mean, I've said I recently had a post on this as well. It's basically find out what your passion is, because posting on LinkedIn requires consistency. So you should never feel forced to post. But on the other hand, you should love to post, and this only comes if you talk about something that you are passionate about, right? So
Yeah.
once you find that topic or subject, you will never run out of ideas or start thinking, okay, what can I post today or tomorrow? If you love doing something, you're going to do it naturally, and that's what you learn. That's what you need to learn on LinkedIn. Treat it like that. Treat it like your best buddy.
Yeah. And that's a very valuable advice, guys, because you should not be, you should not feel that you are being forced to post on LinkedIn just for the likes and the engagement. Don't do it for that. Do it for the love of the content. Do it for the love of the topic that you have. So that's a very valuable advice, Novnish. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. I believe that you also have learned a lot, just like I have from Novnish. And Novnish, thanks a lot for doing this. And I would be sharing the link to Novnish profile in the description below. You can follow Novnish on LinkedIn and follow his content. You are bound to learn a lot. Thanks a lot, Novnish. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Yeah, thanks, Nimit. Happy to help, and I hope I added some value to your audience.
Yeah, you surely did.